Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into a bit of a rushed start to the night here on the Hickory Racing Network tonight. An off week for the Dega Pro's Little Guys Series, but that does not mean that we have no racing. We are racing tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway. I want to welcome you in. We're getting a quick start because it is heat racing night here for Dega Pros. A little bit interesting concept tonight. We got 15 trucks that are going to make the feature. Everyone's going to make the feature race. Here's how this is going to work. These qualifying heats are going to work to set your starting spot for the feature and work as a little bit of a warm-up race for some of these guys that are on track right now. You see the grid of 7 that has made the field for this first heat, 15 total in the session. We're ready to get it going. A little bit of off-week racing for you, a little bit of entertainment here for you to get you through the off week before we head to our championship race for the Little Guys Series in a week's time. My name is Dawson Wise. You're joining me very quickly here on the Hickory Racing Network. We got 7 on track for heat number 1. It'll be 10-lap heats. The top 5 out of this race advance directly to the feature event. The others will have to go to an LCQ to determine their starting spot. And so here's the starting lineup for heat number 1. Bobby Forbes and Kenny McCullough will make up the first row. Justin Mills, Tucker McClendon will be on row number 2. Ron Morris and Kenny Stamper on row number 3. And Logan York shotgun on the field here in the first of 2 qualifying heats. So a bit of an interesting concept tonight in the off week. As we have some heat racing, we'll have a 45-lap feature for you after the 2 10-lap heat races and a last chance qualifier. Pace truck is down 5, advance immediately to the feature. The others will have to run an LCQ to determine their starting spot. This will determine the starting grid for tonight's off-week race. And a preview, if you will, 15 trucks on track for next Monday's championship race in the Little Guys Series. Into the start zone, 10 laps on the board. Heat 1 is underway. Green flag is in the air. Bobby Forbes leads the field down to the green flag. Be a bit abnormal as compared to the racing you're used to. No yellows in the heats. There will be yellows in the last chance qualifier race. Could be the other way around. Mills immediately out to the outside of Bobby Forbes. He wants the race lead under the Alabama Gang Super Stretch for the first time. Mills and Forbes go side by side. It's the driver for Barely Able Racing, Justin Mills, that goes to the outside. The big dog, Kenny McCullough, is in the field tonight in the 0-3. As well as his McCullough Motorsports teammate, Ron Morris. The boss man at KSR, Kenny Stamper, is here. He's brought a couple of his boys along for the ride as well. And you'll see a couple of them in heat number 2 coming up in just a couple of minutes. Forbes leads off turn number 4. Mills continues to drag race him. Morris and Stamper giving a nice push on the bottom. It'll be 9 laps to go in heat number 1 as we pass by the start-finish line. Still Forbes, Morris, Stamper. Now McClendon and York drop in, and all of a sudden it's Mills and McCullough that tail up the field towards the back end of this very small heat racing field. Again, everyone's going to make the feature. It'll be 15 total here for the feature race. Into turn number 3, still Bobby Forbes leading the way. Bottom line been dominant so far, but now the top begins to surge once again. Logan York goes up there. York coming off a nice effort in Sunday's Podium 500, finishing in position number 12. Looking to build on that momentum. And push that forward into the coming weeks. Justin Mills down to the bottom across the nose of Bobby Forbes. Now Kenny McCullough's going to have a clean nose here for one of the first times in this race. He's got Logan York, one of the best pushers in the field, on his back bumper. And down the backstretch they go once again. 8 laps to go. You're not missing much. It's heat number 1. We have 2 heats. An LCQ race, I believe. We'll have to see. That may be skipped. We may go right to the feature race instead of a last chance qualifier. You're seeing the first heat of 2 that will determine the starting grid for tonight's event. It'll be a nice preview for next week's Little Guys Series Championship race. This is not a points race for the Dega Pro's Little Guys Series. You see Kenny McCullough on track. Obviously not a Little Guys driver, so that race will be next week. York out 3 wide. Stamper hangs him to dry. McClendon goes with him. Now Stamper tries to go. Outside line gets dysfunctional, and Justin Mills goes right back to the race lead. As they go down the super stretch, now everybody singles out. It's Mills, Forbes, and Morris. And our 1, 2, 3 down the Alabama gang super stretch is McCullough, Stamper, York, and McClendon at a dive back in line. Morris jumps out, brings Kenny McCullough with him. The McCullough boys now up on the outside of the racetrack, and they bring a party along with them. Mills and Forbes going to get hung out to dry. McClendon thought about going back to the bottom, sees the run up top, decides to go back up. Morris and McCullough go down. Stamper not able to, stays up in front of Logan York, and now we're going to go 2 by 2 again. 6 laps to go in heat number 1. Winner of heat number 1, I believe, since there was no qualifying session, is going to get the pole for the feature event. So that is notable to remember. This heat should set the inside row. The other heat should set the outside row, if I have remembered it correctly. We'll have to see if that is the case, but it should be. That this heat sets inside, heat 2 sets outside, just like the Gatorade duels, or Can-Am vacation duels, whatever they're called now. Ron Morris, the boss man on Tuesdays, leads the way as we are halfway through heat number 1. 5 down, 5 to go. Kenny Stamper, Logan York, Tucker McClendon try to get a run going up top. Morris jumps up there and allows his teammate Kenny McCullough to cool and inherit the lead here in turns 1 and 2. So McCullough and Morris will go side by side. That's for the race lead and the provisional pole in our feature event that's coming up in just a few minutes. While you have a chance, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Share the link. Get some people out here to watch some fun heat racing tonight. These guys can kick back, relax. It was a long week for several of us that attempted the Podium 500. In fact, several in this field of just this heat attempted the Podium 500. Ooh, Morris is loose. Almost trouble. Mills is out of shape. Trouble. Bobby Forbes hard into the outside wall. York and Stamper go with him. And now with 4 to go, the field very separated. But again, no cautions here in the heats, so we're going to just run it out. As those cars, unfortunately, not going to be able to finish this heat, I don't believe. Bobby Forbes has already taken his truck to pit road. Logan York, I believe, is going to do the same, as both those trucks were relatively destroyed. We'll keep it up here. In fact, while they're grouping back up, now it's the McCullough teammates that are side by side. We will go back and try to take a look very quickly at what happened here going to the tri-oval. So you see it there. There was some contact on the bottom side of the racetrack between Mills and Morris. Watch the 4 of Justin Mills, the white and blue. Oh, McCullough went to go up. I think Justin Mills may follow him. He does. He follows up, gets into the left front of Ron Morris. Ron tries everything he can to save it, as does Justin Mills, but as these guys go by, I believe you're going to see some contact here between Bobby Forbes and Logan York as Forbes tries to bail and miss Mills. And hard hit there by Forbes, hard hit by York, big hit by Stamper. They go sideways and render themselves unable to finish this first heat race. It's 3 laps to go. Justin Mills hanging right about a second behind Ron Morris and Kenny McCullough, who will race it out here for what we assume to be the provisional pole in the feature race. They've got a truck up ahead of them here, a lap truck that is off the pace. I believe that's going to be Logan York. He has got smoke billowing out the back of the 48, just trying to finish the race and better his starting spot. Stamper and Forbes have called it a race here in this first heat race, so they will provisionally start 13th and 15th, or excuse me, 11th and 13th in our feature race. For now, it's the 2 teammates that will race for the lead. They slowly start to pull away here from Justin Mills. Ron Morris will take a look off of turn number 4 on the last lap on his teammate and his boss man over there at the McCullough Motorsports stable. Or will he stay in line and have them start 1-3 in the feature? They're going to start 1-3 regardless, as long as they finish where they are right now. Will Morris back up and take a look? Will he ride in line and start 3rd? We'll have to wait and see. Coming to the white flag, heat number 1. Mills is a second and a half back and dropping off. Now he waits in the wings if something gets dicey up here, but with teammates running 1-2, I don't think it'll be an issue. White flag, heat number 1. McCullough and Morris, the teammates, out front. as they come through turns 1 and 2 for the final time here in their heat race. They get warmed up for this event. It's a 45-lap race, 100% fuel, so a pit stop will be needed in that race. It's going to be a nice preview for next week's championship race, except I think next week we're going back to the small fuel load again for that 50-lap event. It will feature our championship 15, and throughout the night here we'll remind you of who those 15 drivers will be next Monday night when we come to you live here from the Hickory Racing Network for the championship event. Morris to the outside. They are going to drag race outside of his teammate. Got to make sure he doesn't make too much contact. Morris to his outside. Nice run around the top. He's going to clear McCullough here. And unless McCullough's got to run back on the bottom, Ron Morris will start on the pole for the feature race. He wins heat race number 1. Good finish there between teammates. Justin Mills comes home in 3rd. Tucker McClendon comes home 4th. Logan York 5th. Kenny Stamper in 6th. And Bobby Forbes will be given 7th in the heat. They will start on the inside row of our feature race here in just a few moments. So a good first heat. And we prepare now for the second heat, which will have the other half of this provisional feature field. And from there, it'll be 45 laps in the feature event with 100% fuel for some decent payouts here for a 15-truck field. And Morris going to save the celebration for the feature and jump off the racetrack. And so we will await heat number 2 to get on the grid here from Talladega. We'll remind you really quickly here as the results go final of this first heat who our championship 15 are. And it will be Dustin Carruthers, Trevor Onsworth, and Justin Mills, who you just saw in heat number 1. David Sheets, Austin Green, Mark Vondell, who you'll see here in heat number 2. Ron Morris, who just won heat number 1. Larry McDonald, Zach Range, Aubrey Thompson, Heath Jobe, who you'll see here in heat number 2. And Raymond Hanneman. And then last week, it was the PGR 1-2 of J.R. Miller and Nash Brambilla getting in along with Tyler Vickery. Those are the 15 that will compete next week for the championship pot in a 15-driver race. And again, that will be next week. Heat 2 is on the speedway. And another 7-truck heat race here for you. And it goes as follows. On the pole is KSR's Dustin Carruthers. And it'll actually be 8. Little Guy Series owner John Ward's going to put his name in the hat tonight and race. So it'll be Carruthers on the pole. John Ward for Hyper will be to his outside. John Ward also competing in the Podium 500 yesterday afternoon. Richard Elliott, Richard Elliott, Danny Barnes will be on row number 2. It'll be Mark Vondell and David Sheets on row number 3. And rounding out a 8-truck field for heat number 2, it'll be Devin Ray and Heath Jobe. So another 8-truck field ready to go for heat number 2. It'll be also 10 laps. I believe we are going to be skipping the last chance race, so it'll be 15 total in the feature. I believe that race is going to be skipped. There's not going to be enough drivers to trigger it on iRacing's end, so I believe we'll just go right into the feature event once this race goes checkered. Several of the championship contenders next week are in this heat right here. Carruthers is in this heat, as is David Sheets, as is Mark Vondell, as is Heath Jobe. So 4 of our 15 for next week are in this heat right here. Glad you're with me here on a Monday night. A little bit of a low-stress Monday night. I know a lot of us need a little bit less stressful racing. Not much on the line. Again, been a long couple weeks, and getting the new year started and continued just in general for our normal weekly schedule. Obviously finishing up Ron Morris Racing's Tuesday Night Thunder schedule a few weeks ago and going strong with the PGR schedule, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Some interesting notes coming on that front as well. But that will all come after heat number 2, which is about to go green. Dustin Carruthers, John Ward are on the front row for this second heat, which will determine the outside row starting for the feature. Carruthers and Ward bring us down to the green flag. 10 laps in heat number 2. And we will go feature racing here at Talladega. Carruthers and Ward up through the gears. And dead even. How about David Sheets? He took a look in the middle. They jumped back down. Everybody keeps it straight. Sheets aggressive early. And wanted to perhaps go 3 wide. But instead decides better of it. And stays in line. 2x2 down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch. 8 trucks in this field. As Ward goes to the lead, the series owner deciding to put his truck on track tonight. Again, a little bit of low stress, obviously, with the normal schedule we had, and then combined with the past several days. Many of us racing once, twice a day, perhaps. Some guys having to race twice on Saturday, and then running 500 miles yesterday afternoon in the Podium 500. A lot of the guys you're going to see tonight wanted the break after that race. A little bit of low-stress racing for you here tonight. Ward to the lead. He's got his teammate Danny Barnes along with him in all hyper front row now. 9 laps to go here in heat number 2. Carruthers going to push hard on John Ward. He's going to get himself clear. Will he jump to the outside? He's going to bring Richard Elliott along with him, I think. They took a look now. They dive back in, think better of it, and drop in. So top line trying to get it going. Sheets, Barnes, and Ray not really going very far right now. Trying to get something going up on the outside. John Ward's loving this, sitting on the bottom of the racetrack with Carruthers, Elliott, Vondell, and Job in tow. Now Richard Elliott jumps out. Carruthers a little bit late on that one. Is Richard Elliott going to get split? Nope, everybody gets back in line. 2x2, Elliott surges to the lead. It'll be 8 laps to go when we hit the start-finish line. As Richard Elliott inherits the lead, now drops right back down and leaves Danny Barnes to lead the top one more time. Richard Elliott through turns 1 and 2. He surges forward to the lead, now gets clear of the top lane. John Ward doing some good pushing here on the bottom. It'll be interesting. As like I said, about 10 to 12 guys that you normally see on money racing nights competed in yesterday's Podium 500 and now retrain their brain and get back to our bread and butter, which is the Camping World trucks, which you see on track right now, the Craftsman trucks, I should say. They got to retrain their brain just like they did for the Podium 500 event and get back used to running these cars. Although, this 2x2 here we cross with 7 laps to go. It won't be a very long retraining because Thursday night, and we'll get to this a little bit later, the specifics of it, we go right back into the next-gen cars for the PGR Esports Thursday night series. So retrain your brain for a couple days and then go right back into the next-gen. That's going to be a fun one. I'll talk about that one later on in the night. 3 wide now. Sheets and Ray jump out. It's 3 wide for the first time in the heat races. We didn't really see this in the first one. Sheets and Ray actually got a nice little push. Elliott up to the middle to try to block them. It's 3 hyper trucks in line behind him. Ward, Barnes, and Job Trouble. Around goes Vondell. It's going to be most of the field. Ward's trying to save it. He is going to, but several others have been planted in the wall. Vondell's involved. Devin Ray is involved. Danny Barnes is involved. And David Sheets is involved. And just like in the first heat, we will run several laps with just a few trucks. We'll go very quickly and try to determine the cause of this one. Off turn number 4. It looks similar to the first heat. As they came off turn 4, they were moving around a lot. You see Ward, he had bobbled a couple times through turns 1 and 2. And coming off of turn number 4, it looks like Danny Barnes is going to initiate the first contact. You see him getting the right rear of Mark Vondell. They collect John Ward. Carruthers actually scoots past this on the inside. There you see David Sheets. He's got nowhere to go. Devin Ray as well gets pinned to the outside wall. Again, he has nowhere to go. And unfortunately, going to render them out of the running of this heat. Nobody out of the race, but several out of the running to start up front. And back up front, halfway through the second heat. It's 3 trucks up front now. Richard Elliott, Dustin Carruthers, Heath Job. So they're going to run nose to tail here, we assume, for the next 4 laps or so. This is for provisional positions 2, 4, and 6 in the feature race coming up in just a minute after this heat. So Elliott, Carruthers, Job still 1, 2, and 3. We're over halfway through heat 2. As these drivers file through these tri-oval, nobody out of the heat per se, but several guys off the pace. And we'll need things to get dicey here up front. Again, this is going to set the outside row for our 15 truck premier race, feature race. So they continue to run nose to tail down the Alabama Gang super stretch. No surprise to see Carruthers still in this group. The first man to advance into the championship race for the Little Guys Series several weeks back, and has had to take about a month off from the series. He's going to end up getting a total of 5 weeks off. His win was 4 weeks ago tonight. Excuse me, actually it was 5 weeks ago tonight. They get 5 full weeks to basically not do much racing in this series at all. And a weird format change for this season meant that the guys that got in the top 3 could not race after they got into the top 3, so that's why you've only seen about an 18-truck field as of last week, week number 5. Now it goes back down to 15, our championship 15, next Monday night. We're going to crown a Season 3, our 3rd Little Guys Series champion. Will be crowned next Monday night. We'll have details on that race for you at the beginning of next week's broadcast. I'll try to get a few for you before we leave here tonight as to what to expect next Monday night when we crown another champion. There'll be 2 laps to go at the line. Still Elliott, Carruthers, Job. Nobody really going to make a move here. Not any reason to until 1 lap to go. Heath Job, Devin Ray in the chat. They're both on track right now. Good to see you, gentlemen. So they are currently on track here in heat number 2, as well as one of our championship drivers next week, Tyler Vickery, who is currently helping work World Series of Asphalt, which definitely a cool opportunity there, but I expect to see him back next Monday night for the Little Guys Series championship race, after he made it in on a heroic last lap, last corner, last 100 feet move that left all of us stunned that were calling the race last week, as he is the 15th and final driver to advance, getting that coveted final transfer spot in the championship race. White flag here, heat number 2. Elliott, Carruthers, and Job. You figure it'll be a lot the same as Kenny McCullough and Ron Morris in the last heat. If Carruthers is going to go, it's probably going to be off turn number 4. And he'll try to drag race. Now he does have Job to contend with here. Where does the 760 go in all this? We'll have to wait and see. But down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Elliott, Carruthers, Job, 1, 2, 3. Carruthers, you know he's going to look for it here. Try to start on the front row. And that familiar KSR Weiser Chevrolet Silverado we've gotten so used to seeing. Starting to lean out there. Off turn number 4, the run of the end. Carruthers takes a look. Elliott throws a block. Job to the outside of Carruthers now. Elliott, does he have to block Job? I don't think he will. Job getting a nice run here through the tri-oval, though. If he can grab the right rear, he might have a look at it. All the way to the stripe. They're going to battle for second. It's all behind Richard Elliott, who wins heat number 2, and will start on the outside of the front row of the feature race. Carruthers second. He'll start 4th. Job will start 6th. And from there on back, John Ward finishes 4th. Devin Ray finishes in the 5th. Actually, nope, scratch that. Ray gets past Ward right at the last second. So Ray 4th, Ward 5th. It'll be Vondell 6th, Danny Barnes 7th, and David Sheets will be shocking on the field for this feature here in just a quick moment. As Heat 2 goes to Richard Elliott of Barely Able Racing in the 0-2. As he holds off the charge from Carruthers and Job there in the tri-oval. So feature race coming up. No LCQ as far as I know. We won't need it. So it should skip. We should get right to the 15 truck feature. And we will get some feature racing on track. 45 laps coming up with 100% fuel. As the off-week race here for the Little Guys Series / Dega Pros gets underway here in just a moment. And there will be an LCQ race. So, well, this is going to be a bit of an interesting race with 6 trucks slated. It's actually going to be 5. I believe Steve Sizemore is out of the session. We'll have to see if he has made it back for this one. But there is going to be an LCQ race. I think it may skip it. Nobody's on track yet, so we'll give it here just a second and see if it does skip this race. But while we wait to see if this race gets on track or if we go to the feature race, we'll bring in the second member of my broadcast team tonight as we get ready to run some feature racing at Talladega. And that is Season 1 Little Guys Series champion, Michael Triscaro, the owner of PGR Esports. Mike, how you doing tonight? What are you looking for in this little bit of a nonchalant heat racing style tonight?
Well, I was doing pretty good, but, it's official week at Daytona and came out of turn 4, the leader, and per usual, you got guys trying to block you when they're not clear, and so that's kind of how my night's gone already, but nice to be up here in the booth with you. Definitely a lot calmer up here, but cool little format from John Ward, Dega Pros here tonight. Just got to see the end of the heat number 2 there. Looks like Ron Morris is going to be on the front row with Richard Elliott. So I'm just looking for a guy that doesn't win as much to kind of take this race over. And Ron Morris has got some victories up his sleeve, but it'd be nice to see him get the victory lane tonight.
Well, absolutely it would, and we are going to run this 15 laps. There are only 2 trucks gridded. My understanding is that they tried to skip this race and go right to the feature, but they are going to have to pretty much just roll around for 15 laps here. So we'll let them do so. They'll catch the pace truck here down the backstretch and have to run this one out. Everyone's going to make the feature. So the 5 trucks that are in the session, I don't think Steve Sizemore ended up making it in. But the 5 trucks you see there on the left side of your screen are all going to be in the feature, but they're going to have to basically just roll around single file here for the next 15 laps and run this session out. So while they do that, it's a perfect opportunity, actually, to catch you up on what is coming up here. And as we get ready to go into this race really quickly, go ahead and, again, share the link. Get the link out there. Get some people watching this feature race tonight. It's going to be some good racing here in a few minutes when we get to that session. But we will talk about what's coming up next. And it all starts tomorrow night. Let me pull up the details for it here. Tomorrow night, in the spirit of the Valentine's Day season, a bit of a fun, again, a little bit of a low-stress race, but hey, I've seen some of the practice documentation over the past few hours, and it's turning more into a high-stress affair with some, but what we're titling tomorrow night's PGR Esports Better Half Dash goes green tomorrow night, the day before Valentine's Day. I'll have the call on the Ghost Racing Network tomorrow night. What an event that's going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's been some trash talking going on as the wives and girlfriends of some of our normal drivers get on the racetrack tomorrow night. It's going to be a heck of a time. I know some of the drivers whose better halves are racing tomorrow have been bantering back and forth over the past few hours. It's all in good fun, but it's going to be a fun event. It's going to be a 20-lap race tomorrow night as the LCQ race for better or worse goes green here off turn number end of the trial, excuse me. But it's going to be such a fun event as we go green tomorrow night around 10 o'clock. Just 100% fuel, damage is off, a green-white checkered finish, a 20-lap race tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun at Talladega. The drivers that you normally see on Thursday nights have been training, if you will. They're better halves for tomorrow's race. It's going to be a heck of a time. And I know, I believe we're getting close to 15, I want to say. We had several more enter today. So come out tomorrow night. A little bit of fun for the Valentine's Day season. And Mike, you help put this together as these guys are gridding up here. We are going to actually race. But before we do, just talk a little bit about that event as we get ready for that tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool event. I've seen, in real life with the NASCAR pro drivers, they've had their better halves race in a race over at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the little oval there in the infield. So kind of got the idea from that. Thought it'd be cool to get some of the wives and girlfriends in the cockpits. They're used to just being upstairs or in bed, and while we're doing this to the wee hours of the morning. So thought no better way to, incorporate them in on our little hobby here and get them down in the chair and see what they can do. So, hey, never know, man. They could put on a better show than we do on Thursdays because, sometimes we don't have the best ones, but be interesting to see. I know some of them been in training. Miss Baker was doing some stuff today, and she even sounded like Matt Baker himself in that seat. So it should be a pretty fun event. I'm looking forward to it. I actually have to work with my wife some. She was unfortunately in the hospital today, and she's pregnant too. So it's been a little rough day over here in our household, but we're gonna get practicing in the morning, and hopefully by tomorrow night she's ready to go.
Well, it is going to be a lot of fun. We'll have that one for you tomorrow night on a Tuesday night as we get ready for the Valentine's Day season. As these guys are underway. Now, 3 of them are a lap down just because of the way the parade lap worked. But again, this is all pretty much just a formality, as all these guys are going to be in the field here in just a few moments. They just got to run 15 laps first. It does not mean they're going to race not hard. The only 2 guys, well, now they all score on the lead lap. So, whatever works, I guess. So now they're back all on the lead lap. So Forbes, Sheets, Stamper, Barnes, Von Dell, the 5 in this field. And this is going to determine the rest of the starting order. So the bottom row, top 5, I believe, are going to be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Maybe 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 for the other 5. It may not even work out like that, but that's how I understood it. These guys will fill out the rest of the field's starting spots to make our total field of 15 here in just a moment. Bobby Forbes, Kenny Stamper, David Sheets, Danny Barnes, and Mark Von Dell are your 5-truck field. And again, as we let them race, with this just being a little bit of a technicality, we'll keep talking about what's coming over the next several days. And that leads us to Thursday night, where we retrain our brains again from next gen to truck back to the next gens, because Thursday night's Thursday Series race and for PGR Esports is going to be the next gens and the Daytona International Speedway. It is 500 week. The Daytona 500 will be a week from yesterday. It's in 6 days from now. As the NASCAR Cup Series gets ready to go, we are going to stay in the next gens this week. We were supposed to race them last week. That race got delayed because of the Podium 500 festivities. But we're going to have it this week anyway. And next gens at Daytona, we expect a big field of drivers and a unique field of drivers. I can tell you that much. Several from the Podium 500 I know have shown interest in running on Thursday night. And our regular crowd is going to be there on Thursday night as well. That should make for a great race as well. Next gens on Thursday feels like for the first time ever, at least in my 6 months or so being here, Mike, what are we expecting with our regular crowd meeting up with some of the podium drivers from last weekend?
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. We saw Cody Niegels lead a ton of laps Sunday in the Podium 500. Him along with Garrett Maines. I mean, they were probably the class of the field for most of the day. Unfortunately, on that long green flag run, there was a caution that kind of led to, bunching back the field up, and cautions bred cautions. And unfortunately, I know Cody got caught up in quite a few. Wasn't able to race his way back to the front there, but Garrett stayed up front, just wasn't able to get the job done. Feel for him. I know he's been, wanting to win that Podium 500 for quite some time now, but it'll be interesting to see. They obviously race versus the best on Sunday with some, real life NASCAR drivers, also some pro drivers here in iRacing. So, it'll be a good mix once we get some of us money racers in it with them. It was kind of interesting. I kind of thought about it today. We're used to racing with our own teams, and it was kind of different this past weekend because we were all in different heats. We were in different LCQs. I know there was a couple duels, but there's a lot of other guys mixed in there. So it was very unique from that standpoint, since we're so used to running with our core group of teams and guys here. So it was awesome to watch some guys have to navigate the field kind of without their usual suspects. So I'm looking forward to Thursday night under the lights at Daytona. It's the Fed Custom PC.com 50. So yeah, should be an awesome race. I'm excited to be in it.
I can't wait for it either, as I'll be potentially helping with the broadcast duties. I haven't decided for sure if I'm going to help out the boys in the booth or if I'm going to get myself on track, get a little get back for podium week that saw me get eliminated in my heat race on Wednesday night. But you kind of feel the itch to get back in, and Thursday night a perfect opportunity for me to do so. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I'm still deciding for sure, but we will see. That's going to be a fun one Thursday evening as we roll on this week as Money Racing keeps on rolling. It took a break for Podium, but we are rolling once again as we prepare for Daytona 500 weekend coming up this weekend. As 9 laps to go here in the LCQ. It's been pretty good action for 5 trucks. As again, this is all just a technicality. These guys are just having some fun, getting warmed up here for this feature race. In just a moment, an interesting format, some heat racing, something I haven't seen yet tried in this kind of thing that we do. Now, obviously, it kind of hinged on getting a few more entries than 15. Obviously, everybody's going to make the feature, but at its core, a fun, pretty much small-scale version of what you saw this weekend for the Podium 500. It saw eliminations and certain drivers advancing and last-chance races. So, kind of a cool concept. I think we're still all on podium hangover a little bit from last weekend. I wanted to try this out again tonight. About halfway through this LCQ race that is not really an LCQ race. These guys are all already qualified for that feature event here in just a few moments. It's going to serve as a preview for next Monday night, and that is our championship race. And as we get ready for that championship race, Mike, you've been in that race before. You've won the championship in that series before. What is the prep like? Oh, man, Kenny Stamper's out of shape. Gets it back together off the bumper of Forbes. But, Mike, you've been in that race before. You've been in that spot before that those 15 are going to be in next week. What is the prep like? What is the pressure like going into a race like that?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, I remember his first season out here doing it. I didn't have many teammates racing kind of with me. So, fortunately for me, I believe that we were able, the big dogs were able to come into that race. So I had a couple, drivers in my back pocket, that helped me. And thankfully they did. I was able to hold off Ryan Based on the last couple laps. So, it was high intense pressure. He was running right behind me for practically the whole second half of that race. So I was able to come in second, I think, to Kenny McCullough, who was not in the running for the championship. He was a big dog at the time, just kind of coming in on that last race. So I really wanted to win the race, but the bigger picture was winning the championship. And, I was able to, like I said, stay ahead of Ryan Bass. But, it's a great series. Some of these guys, they don't get to win too often, don't get the cash too often. And John Ward's done a great job of bringing those guys up and spreading that money around, which is definitely much needed in the money series. So great to see it. I'm looking forward to it on Monday. I know trying to catch the list of drivers, that are going for that championship right now, but I'm sure it'll be a great race.
Well, we'll go through that list of drivers again before the feature starts of 15 championship drivers. As this serves basically as a preview, a little off week, just a little bit of fun for some of these guys as we take a week off and prepare for that championship race, and actually proves to be a valuable opportunity to get their feet wet again after a few weeks off for a guy in the spot of Dustin Carruthers, as he has not raced, like we said, since week number 1. So an interesting opportunity for them to get back in it. David Sheets hasn't raced since week number 2. Mark Mondell hasn't raced since week number 2. So several guys in this field have not raced in a while, in this series at least, and good for them to get their feet back in the water a little bit as they get ready to run for a championship pot next Monday night. And with 4 laps to go in this LCQ, it's been pretty much 2x2 now for about the last 8 laps or so. They scrambled a couple times, but again, with this all being a technicality, these guys are just kind of throwing their weight around a little bit, having some fun. And Forbes and Barnes, the Hyper teammates, been sticking together. For the most part, everybody else kind of been all for themselves. 4 laps to go in the LCQ race, the last of our qualifying races tonight, to reach the 45-lap feature coming up in just a minute. And again, you can kind of tell, and I don't know if it's just me that noticed this, but you can kind of tell the guys that ran this weekend, and I don't think there's any in this field, at least that attempted, but the guys that ran podium, especially in the first heat, from what we noticed, it's taken them a minute to get back retrained into this truck, and I know that's going to be the case for me as well. I have not run a single lap on any car other than Next Gen since I think last Monday. So for these guys to get retrained, you can tell it's taken them a while, and it's an adjustment back into the truck after a few days off.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I raced an official here before I jumped in with you. For me, actually, I kind of went back in. That next gen gave me a lot more confidence, actually, to run the trucks in Xfinity. It's a little bit easier to run the trucks, in my opinion, a lot easier to push, a lot more stable. You could go 3 wide a lot easier. So it was nice to jump back in tonight and, getting that C open and turn some laps in the truck. We got John Ward. He had a good run going there in the Podium 500. Had a little glitch there on pit road, so unfortunately kind of ended his day. Justin Mills had he was in the heat with Matthew Baker, where he was kind of turned coming to the line. So, he had a tough one. I believe he didn't make it out of his LCQ or duel so on Saturday. But, great experience all around for everybody here in the money community. I know, just thinking about next year, even with how much more experience we'll get in this next gen, I think it's imperative that we race the next gen a lot more than we do. So, like you said earlier, PGR Thursday night in the next gen.
Oh, trouble,
plan
Kenny
more races
Stamper. My goodness, up and over. Added to the list of brutal crashes for Stamper. Luckily, he's going to make the field, but man, he did a few pinwheels there off the outside safer barrier. That truck is destroyed. We're going to take the white flag here in the LCQ lap just to lock in the rest of the grid. Kenny Stamper is going to take that truck right to pit road and take a second here after going for a few barrel rolls in turns 3 and 4. But like you were saying, as we get ready to end this LCQ race, what a great experience Podium Weekend was. A ton of drivers that you see on every night of the week attempted to make the Podium 500. In the end, 10 made the field out of the 42 cars that started, and it's a considerable more amount than it was the past couple of years, and that's such an impressive sign. Guys ran up front all of their duels and heats and LCQs, guys that you've seen on nights throughout. Oh, here we go. 3 wide. Does Vondell get in the middle? Oh, he does. Vondell, power move. Oh, but he gets turned.
He spins in the triangle.
Vondell gets spun. It's going to be all Danny Barnes on the outside. He wins the LCQ as Vondell tried to throw it in the middle and did not quite work out for him. But what a fun ending to a formality here in the LCQ. We're ready to go feature racing, but man, right before we get into that, I'll finish what I was saying right there before that race ended. It was a great experience for all of us that attempted, and definitely made a name for several guys that ended up running up front in the feature race. You talked about them, Mike. Garrett Maines, Cody Nagels led 100 of the 200 laps combined and really put on a show and put this community on the map. And a 3-minute warm-up now as we get ready to go. So it's feature racing time. We'll have 15 in the feature. The drivers from Heat 1, from Heat 2, and from that LCQ are going to get ready to go for 45 laps after a 3-minute warm-up session. And we'll see if this actually gets used. Nobody's on track yet. We'll see if this gets skipped. I would not be surprised to see it get skipped, but now Ron Morris looks like he's going to leak out on track. So perhaps we are going to have some warm-up time. And we are. So, but back to what you were saying as they were warming up, Mike, I would agree. I think the next gen this weekend proved it can provide some chaotic racing, if anything. But it can provide some interesting racing. Now, granted, like I said, our bread and butter are these Craftsman trucks that you see running tonight. But that is a car that certainly was a branch out for several guys. But from what I heard, a lot of guys enjoyed running that car.
Yeah, it was an awesome car. I didn't have much experience kind of going into the whole thing with it. Like you said, we do a lot of these money races in the Craftsman's truck and the Xfinity Series car. So, I took a couple weeks to practice, put a lot of hours in the sim, and ran a ton of laps at Daytona. Raced around, Cody and Kevin Freeze, Baker, and some guys, and a lot of test sessions, and kind of learned how to push in that car. Wrecked a lot in the practice races, but in that heat that I was in, raced really well the whole time. Kept it clean, was, working with Kwame there, a pro driver. Got awesome experience, got pushed to the lead. And, unfortunately, we all know kind of what happened at the end there. But, It's it is what it is, and moved on, and it was a great experience nonetheless, and enjoyed watching all the guys race all weekend long. Just hoping next year, I could put myself back in the same spot and make a couple different moves, and hopefully be racing on Sunday. And but all in all, great car. Hoping to see it more in the money scene for sure.
Well, we're grading up here for the feature race, so here is how they will start. And I was right. Looks like it is going to line up with the top 5 in Heat 1 on the bottom, top 5 in Heat 2 on the top, and the LCQ guys filling in the last several spots. So here is the lineup as it runs right now. It'll be Ron Morris and Richard Elliott on row 1 for this 45-lap race. On row 2, it'll be Kenny McCullough and Dustin Carruthers. Justin Mills and Tucker McClendon are going to be on row number 3. Actually, it's going to be Justin Mills and Heath Job on row number 3. It'll be McClendon and John Ward on row 4. Danny Barnes and Devin Ray on row 5. And then it's Sheets, Forbes, Vondell, Stamper, and York that make up the field. But Logan York is nowhere to be found, so he has not made the grid. So it's 14 to start. We'll see if Logan jumps in here in a moment. For now, it'll be 14 trucks, 45 laps for some decent Monday night payouts here as we get some off-week racing in, as we get ready to go. And I know you mentioned a couple guys in the heats, but Mike, who are you looking at here to win this 45-lap feature?
I'm looking at it back again. Dustin Carruthers. He's a guy that I've raced with before and seems to be, always up front at these restrictor plate tracks. That's going to be my pick tonight, Dustin Carruthers.
Pretty strong pick. A favorite to become a Little Guy Series champion, has been in that spot 3 different times now, counting this season, and now looks to finish the deal here in a week's time. Tonight would be a nice stepping stone, a momentum builder, as it's his first race back here on Monday nights since week number 1. So he wants to keep the momentum going and get it rolling as we head into championship week next week. The pace truck is down. A little bit of off-week racing for you here on a Monday night as we get ready to go green. Logan York has jumped to the pit lane, so he will start the race. But he will have to start from the pits. Did not make the grid. So 14 on the grid. As we get ready to go green, these guys are all kinds of out of whack. And I believe, are we going to go green right here? Nope. We're going to roll past the start-finish line and try this again. I believe we're going to try to get Logan York on track here. As he rolls off pit road, you see him there. They'll let him roll around the pace car and get back on the lead lap, and we'll go green next time on what will be lap 2. Well, actually, he's going to stay with the field here.
And they're going to go green right here.
We're going to go green in turn 1. All right, so we're doing everything a little bit different tonight. Green flag is in the air. If you remember from the LCQ race, when the green flag got delayed, when they waited, Logan York ended up scored on the lead lap as he rolled off pit road. So all they did was took the green flag and waited for Logan York. That's all they were doing, was just waiting for Logan to come off pit lane and tag on the back of the field. He will be on the lead lap. He scored as a lap down right now, but he is on the lead lap at the tail end of this field. And off into 3, we're going to go racing. And botch start for me, but hey, we're doing everything a little bit different tonight. Morris and Elliott here lead off turn number 4. It's Elliott's teammate on the bottom side, Justin Mills, pushing Ron Morris. But Elliott surges back. He's got Hyper Trucks in his rearview mirror, led by Heath Job and John Ward, the team owner, in behind them. 2x2, 3 rows deep here into lap 1. A lot of guys, despite it being a 14-truck field, have gone to the back here to kind of maybe salvage their race a little bit. And in a 14-truck field, I'm not sure how great an idea that is. I'm not sure how useful it's going to be in this smaller field.
Yeah, I've been liking to stay up front lately. Not big a fan of dropping to the back anymore. I think being in that front spot is the place you want to be. Usually the wrecks happen behind them, but we'll see what they can do. It looks like a contingent of Hyper Motorsports trucks draped in that red, white, and blue heading to the front here. It's Heath Job getting pushed by John Ward. A couple more Hyper trucks not too far behind here, and strength in numbers, man. That's going to be tough to beat those Hyper boys tonight, but we got some strong trucks in this field. Kind of hang out in the back there is Logan York, Dustin Carruthers, so we'll see kind of how, what time they want to go.
Yeah, no rush here to go, I wouldn't think. They're just kind of chilling for now. As again, 45 laps for 14 trucks. It is a nice preview of what you're going to see next Monday night, though, as we'll have 15 trucks for what should be a 50-lap final race of the season, so a decent preview of what that race is going to hold, especially if it involves the pit strategy that we've gotten used to seeing over the past 5 weeks of regular season races. So we'll wait and see if that's the case. Hyper now 3 deep up top. Forbes has joined the party behind his teammates here, Job and Ward, as they all push on the back of Richard Elliott. Everybody else in the field has gone to the bottom of the racetrack and now just riding around. That includes Carruthers, Ray, York, and McCullough, who all now run at the very tail end of this draft, about a car length off anybody in front of them. Might be smart, but I figure it would be smarter in a little bit bigger field than we see tonight. Richard Elliott surges to the lead here on lap 4, and now leaves the Hyper trucks up on the outside by themselves, here to try to work something out. It's Heath Jobs getting pushed by his team owner, John Ward, making a rare appearance here on a Monday night.
Yeah, John Ward, man, one of the best in the business here on plate tracks. And him and Heath Job, man, they work really good together. So look for them to stay up front here. It looks like no fast repairs tonight, so got to keep these trucks clean. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like also a full fuel tank. So we go quite a few laps here before they're going to have to stop. But yeah, all Hyper here to start the thing, and we'll see what Ron Morris can do too. Ron Morris there on the inside, he's pushing Richard Elliott pretty strong here. So yeah, these guys are racing hard early.
Full fuel load is right, 100% fuel, so about a 30-lap fuel run if these guys run it all the way out. So a while to go until that happens. A lot of guys have tailed onto the back end of the bottom. Hyper Motorsports leading the charge up top, trying to make something happen. Danny Barnes has not quite been able to get up behind his teammates yet. Elliott up in front of Heath Job. They're able to get it together, and Elliott now pushed by the top lane as Morris is able to cool. Pushed now by Justin Mills in the 4. And you were talking about how good John Ward is on these plate tracks. I'll tell you what, if anybody's had a hotter start to 2024, feel free to let me know, because John Ward is on a heater. He made the championship 4 in Ron Morris Racing Tuesday Night Thunder and had a look at the championship in that race. He was the 2023 PGR champion that we crowned on the first PGR race of 2024, and now has started the Podium 500 and ran up front in that race for a considerable amount of time and really set a statement throughout the weekend that he is one of the best, no matter what car you put him in. So, again, if anybody's had a hotter start to this year, feel free to tell me, because I think it might just be John Ward in the 92. Several of these guys in this field are off to a hot start. Oh, man, all of a sudden Hyper says, I don't know about this, Richard Elliott. They're going to send him in the sucker hole here. Now, it won't be as bad as this weekend's podium affair, as Richard Elliott won't go quite that far back, as we saw some guys go in the middle lane on that race, but actually, he's going to maintain here to the inside of Bobby Forbes, who couldn't quite get all the way around the 0-2. And Heath Job, John Ward lead the charge to the outside. Now, Ron Morris, this works out best for him as he leads the bottom, pushed by Justin Mills, but another charge by Job gives the 760 the lead at the line.
Yeah, Richard Elliott, former driver for Hyper Motorsports, now over at Bar Racing. Kind of got split there by his former teammates. I'm sure he's not too thrilled with that, but he settled back in here between Ward and Forbes. So, his teammates there on the inside, Justin Mills. So look for those two to link up. But, man, we're getting crazy racing here on the top side. Going here down in the super stretch into turn number 3. Richard Elliott, man, he is racing with a vengeance right now. I know he wasn't too thrilled with that split, but if he can get down there with his teammate Justin Mills, he'll be in a much more comfortable spot.
Well, Mills and Elliott, along with a few of their other teammates, including Aubrey Thompson, who you'll see next week. And, whoa, Ron Morris down to the apron, got turned off Justin Mills, going to have to probably fade backwards now as he goes all the way to the back of this 14-truck field. But as I was saying, Mills, Elliott, Thompson all have been working hard as they start to form their own deal. They are getting better, growing as a team. You can see their chemistry continuing to get better. Again, some of the better pushers in this deal are on that team. Now Mills is going to go to the back as well. Several guys don't like what they see, but the problem is the more guys that cycle to the back, they're just going to cycle the guys that already went to the back to the front and give us the same situation that we already had. And now you see Ron Morris. He doesn't want to stay at the back. He wants to come back to the front. Same with Richard Elliott. Same with John Ward. Actually, John Ward was the one who jumped out and went to the back. So Ward going to go hang out back with Carruthers and Ray and a couple of others back towards the tail end of the field. That's where Justin Mills has gone as well, as they just want to bide their time again. No fast repair in this race, which is becoming more of a reality here across the money racing landscape. Less and less races are giving drivers a fast repair, and it's definitely taking some drivers out of contention, but it also has made them race a little bit smarter in some of these weekly races. You have to choose your battles a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely done a lot less fast repairs over in PGR, and like you said, I've noticed a lot more too. It definitely cleans up the racing, makes the race a little bit different. I know it does for myself as well, and not so much for the standpoint of not being so aggressive, but it's in the back of your mind. I always try to be aggressive, but knowing you don't have one definitely makes you pump those brakes a little bit as you come up through the field. But it's great not to have one. I love it. I think it's more authentic as well. So nice to see a true real racing out here in the money scene right now.
Well, that's definitely what it has given us, and even despite that, we've had some great racing, some great finishes over the past few weeks, especially on Thursday nights, and you can see the benefit of not having one. Maybe it cleans the racing up, but it also just makes your race a little bit smarter, makes your race a little bit more like they would on the real life circuits, and it certainly has changed the way the guys race, changed the way the guys make decisions, but it has not changed the intensity, and we've already seen it in this race. Already, now they've singled out along the bottom, so they figured out maybe we want to make it to the end of this one, but some intensity early, some dicing back and forth, the lines taking turns, switching guys out, and now everybody is just really settled down, and a few guys have made the most of this early run, notably Danny Barnes +9, Mark Mondell +11, Bobby Forbes +7, David Sheets +6, Kenny Stamper +6 so far. The biggest movers of the race have come forward as a result of the intensity and now find themselves in a really great spot as we still are in the early workings of this race halfway down the backstretch.
Yeah, what's interesting for me is Logan York, and as soon as I was going to say Logan has not been aggressive, there he goes with Kenny McCullough in tow behind him, Justin Mills trying to follow them up here in the second lane. I was just getting ready to say Logan York, one of the most aggressive drivers in the money scene, was kind of laying in the weeds back there, but guess what? He's coming straight to the front. One of the most aggressive drivers in the next gen Sunday in the Podium 500. He's coming straight to the front with Kenny McCullough in tow.
Well, he ran 6th in his heat race. Probably should have finished that race in the 2nd position. Just a little bit of bad luck at the end of that one. Ended up having to run the LCQ. Got through the LCQ race. Then finished well inside the top 15 in his dual race to make the Podium 500. And in that race even, making moves to the middle, making aggressive moves to get up front. Ran up front all weekend long and made a name for himself. Logan York, in the past hasn't made too many friends, but certainly has made a name for himself over the past several days, and now he rockets all the way to the race lead here on lap 12. You can tell the confidence level of Logan York has gone up tenfold after last weekend. He rolls right to the front of this race and brings along with him Kenny McCullough, one of the big dogs that just trusted that move and went all the way to the front. But now the intensity starts to ramp up again. Richard Elliott, Ron Morris, John Ward, and Justin Mills, the Barely Able Racing Trucks. Ron Morris and John Ward, the Hyper Motorsports owner, say, all right, we saw you do that. We're going to try to do it ourselves now and go back to the front. Morris pushing hard on Richard Elliott here off turn number 2.
Yeah, Logan York, man, aggressive as he is, I'll tell you what, we talk about all the time. If he could just get a more level head, man, he would not only win a lot more races, but finish in those cash spots. He's an excellent driver, very smart, knows how to push. Definitely, he's great. If you're in front of him, he's another guy that is, great at pushing. So Logan York, an excellent driver overall. If he could just corral himself just a little bit, maybe find himself on one of the bigger teams one day, because he is a very excellent driver.
Took a step in the right direction this weekend, certainly turned heads over the course of the last 4 days or so. Now runs third on the bottom. It's the Hyper teammates up top, Ward and Joe, but they have no help to be found here. They're going to have to side draft hard. That bottom lane is separated. They are together. They have a teammate running about 5th in line, but Danny Barnes going to stay put here on the bottom of the racetrack, not going to go help his teammates. His teammates going to stay up there by themselves and try to get something done. Ward will poke to the lead here on the end of the backstretch, but the temperatures are going to run out. And Ward and Job are going to run out of room and run out of run, if you will, here in turn 3 and 4. Well, or will they? Job really working hard, grits his teeth, and decides he's going to get his team under the lead here. Into the trial, he will poke half the truck out front. Ward may get clear going into 1. Richard Elliott's trying his best, but no match so far for the pushing of Heath Job off into 2x2, and it's almost like tandem racing here at the front of the field. This is a really weird look for the trucks. You'd expect this more of the cars that were run yesterday.
Yeah, for real, I agree. Great race, and I'll tell you what, these two trucks here in this outside lane, they can make some hay. Here we go. We got Logan York jumping out. That middle lane is cooking with a couple trucks tonight. One guy I didn't know was in this race. It's Devin Ray. The guy works a lot, but when he can race, he can race. And I'll tell you what, he's in this field tonight, racing there in the back with Dustin Crothers. Those guys just kind of logging laps right now with Kenny Stamper. Those three are going to be a factor, mark my word, in this race. And guess what? They're going to pit right now all together. It's Dustin Crothers, Devin Ray, Kenny Stamper, all coming down pit road.
They pit when the window opened. I was just about to ask, as we came around to take lap 16, if anybody was going to try this. This is what the Hyper Trucks tried in a Little Guy Series race. Now, granted, that was a race with 4 pit stops, not 1. So this is just a one-stop race with 100% fuel, and these guys, these 3 KSR teammates, say we're going to go ahead and we're going to pit early and see what we can get done, and maybe it'll work out for them. Everybody else now has to respond. Will they pit early and get the pit stop out of the way and get to racing for the next 30 laps, or will they run it out, stay in line, trying to just run good lap times and run away from the KSR trucks just now coming off pit road? Off turn 4, lap 16 on the board. Does everybody else stay out? Yes, they do. So everybody else has made their choice. They're going to run it long, probably about another 15 laps till we see them pit, and would not be surprised to see them stay in line the whole way. Now, they saw those guys pit. They showed their cards. Now this group going to flip-flop, go the opposite direction, and run this tank out all the way to the end. KSR trucks are off pit road. We'll see what kind of lap times they can run.
Yeah, Kenny Stamper had a great stop, got way out ahead of his teammates, Devin Ray, Dustin Crothers. They're tandem drafting right now, trying to catch Kenny. A little bobble there in pit road for Dustin Crothers on entry. Had to back up slightly there. I'm not sure why he didn't really slide through, but they're back to the bumper of Kenny Stamper here in the tri-oval, so they're going to have to stay linked up. Only 3 cars in their tandem. The rest of the field all running together. We'll have to take a look at lap times here in a few laps and see if they are,
well,
kind of mimicking those times.
Yeah, they're going to pit instead. Oh, John, we're way too hot. This is going to be a speeding penalty for the 92. It may be a speeding penalty for the 02 of Richard Elliott as well. They were way, way, way too hot. You can tell visually they did not quite make pit speed. Elliott was closer than John Ward was. We'll see how long these guys spend in their pit boxes. Ward coming down to his now. Elliott going to have to dip out, try to find his sign and stop, and we'll see if anybody got a penalty right here. And we await the KSR trucks, who currently are in the middle of turns 3 and 4, as the current race leaders are down off the jack and rolling. I don't know if this worked out as well as KSR thought it would. Ward is off pit road, so apparently he avoids a penalty by some miracle. I thought for sure he was speeding when he hit the pit entry line.
Yeah, he did too. I was over on his race radio. He couldn't believe it himself that he wasn't speeding coming down pit road. Lucky break for him. He wasn't caught. And we'll see how these guys blend in here. You got John Ward. He looks like they're going to come out in front of these KSR boys. And it could be the money stop for these front guys, because I'll tell you what, they got a little gap up here in the front of the field.
Now the KSR guys got to make hay. They are going to be able to blend, so at the very least they're going to keep the draft of our front view trucks. Great pit stop by the KSR team. Even better one by Ron Morris, Heath Job, Kenny McCullough, Logan York, John Ward, who are going to maintain for now the top 5 spots on the racetrack. Now they do have to get back together. They will do so right here as we come off turn 4. And Devin Ray dives off. He's got a penalty. The one truck got busted on pit road and now drops to the apron, so KSR loses a guy. And I believe Richard Elliott as well had to stay some extended time on pit road to serve a penalty. So 2 guys busted on the first pit stop. Somehow John Ward not busted. Ray and Elliott not so lucky. They both are going to have to serve penalties. Without a caution, their race likely going to come to an end, at least their chances at the win, that is.
Yeah, Danny Barnes, Bobby Forbes, the Hyper Motorsports trucks, they're going to be a little bit farther back. And you got Justin Mills in between them and the big pack. Those are going to be the biggest losses right there for those guys. They're going to probably need a caution here. We got 27 laps to go, and not too many car trucks up here in the front of the pack, so going to be a very tall task for them to make a comeback tonight here without a caution. So we'll see what they can do. They're going to have to stay linked up pretty tight.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, it's going to continue to lose time. This lead draft is pushing pretty good. Heath Job is working to try to build that time just a little bit over the second group. It's 7 trucks that are broken away, and as the race goes on, they continue to lose time. This will be the 7 that you're looking at to contend for the win. This is the second group, Mills, Forbes, and Barnes. You just heard him talking about them. Tucker McClendon has even lost that draft, and Mark Vondell is even further back here in the 59, so some issues on pit road for those drivers. We know about Richard Elliott and Devin Ray. They had penalties on their pit stops. And we look back up front. It's too wide. Logan York, who had just dropped to the back of the line, decided he did not want to run back there anymore, and will try to push his dance partner here on this pit stop up front. That's John Ward. He'll get him clear, but now Ward drops down, leaves Logan by his lonesome. Logan going to pick up Richard Elliott, I believe, here on the outside, keep him with the draft. But it's series owner John Ward, the owner of Hyper Motorsports, back to the lead in the 92 on lap 25. We're almost halfway home in this feature race, but good racing so far, even for a small field, and a lot of different drivers, a lot of different teams represented here inside the top 7.
Yeah, Richard Elliott there goes down a lap, but he could be a factor in this race if he can stay with the draft here. Depending on who he wants to work with and help get the win later on in this race. Logan York there was able, like you said, to push John Ward up to the front. Great pusher, but no one behind him. He's going to drop back to the end of the lead pack here in line. But Logan York, an excellent pusher, so I believe any of these guys farther back from the hyper guys are going to want to go when Logan goes. So hopefully they could just ride here for a little bit, stay out of trouble, and we're going to have a good finish here tonight, I think, Dawson.
Pit stop's done and over with, and I'm going to echo that. I think this is going to be a good finish. You got a couple teammates here. The Hypertrucks are running 1-3. Ron Morris has his teammate 2 spots behind him in 4th. So Hyper 1-3, McCullough 2-4, KSR 5 and 6. And I believe they're going to be lapping past Devin Ray again before this race is said and done. So they might end up with a 3rd truck before this race is all done and over with. The odd man out in terms of teammates here is Logan York, but you know him. He'll go with anybody that can get him to the front. So we'll have to wait and see. He's running right pretty much where I'd probably want to be right now, at least in this point in the race, and that's where you can react to everything that happens in front of you. That's P7, the last spot in this lead draft. That's about where I would want to be as we approach here the halfway lap. Next time by will be halfway home in this heat racing feature event. Ward, Morris, Job, McCullough, Stamper, Carruthers, York are your lead pack. As Justin Mills, that group, had started to pick up some time. In fact, they had picked up a considerable amount last time by, but now lose it all again. They've gotten separated. Something's happened there as they went to, I guess, switch pushers or something, and now, unfortunately, are going to lose a little bit more time. They are going to need a caution. And McClendon, Vondell in the same boat. Obviously, Richard Elliott, Devin Ray. As Ray is going to go 2 laps down before this race ends. He's not in a great spot, especially with the field running 1 through 7 single file. Chance of a caution not very high.
No, you know who's going to be the wild card in this race is the 48 of Logan York. You got 2 Hypers up there. You got 2 McCullough Motorsports and 2 KSR. They make up the top 6. And then in 7th, Logan York. He, like I said, is going to be the wild card. Who is Logan going to push here tonight? It's going to be hard for him to win the race because, like you said, he doesn't really have any teammates up here, but look for him to be a big factor in the actual overall outcome of this race as he's going to be helping either McCullough Motorsports, I believe, or KSR here. And, Hyper might be a sit and duck here when we get down to the closing laps.
That's what I was thinking. Running 1-3 is not what I want to do if I was those 2 trucks running here at the front of the field. I'd want to be either where Logan and the KSR trucks are or potentially where Ron and Kenny are because they are the first ones that I think are going to try to make a move. Well, I was wrong. Here comes Logan York up on the outside line. The problem is he's got no help behind him. He's going to need somebody in front of him to go, and nobody's going to do so quite yet. Still 21 laps to go, still a while until anybody decides to make that move. York tried it, though. He gets even with Kenny Stamper for position number 5, and that's about as far as he looks to be able to get. Will anybody go with him here? Does Carruthers go up there with him? Maybe. I don't think they thought about it there. The KSR trucks at least had a thought off turn 2 of going to the outside, but they think better of it. But now Kenny McCullough goes, oh, well, he ducks back in line. So a couple guys thought about it. A couple guys leaned, but when nobody else went with him, they ducked back in line. Logan will go right back to where he was in position number 7 in that green and white and black 48. Well, he's going to stay to the outside of Carruthers here, just be a pest here for a few laps. Just try to get somebody to go up there. He's He's tempting the guys in front of him to go. He's saying, well, I'm up here. Come on, let's go. Let's go forward. He wants to go get up front, get some track position, but nobody going to be willing to move. Nobody going to fall for that. 20 laps to go. York will fall right back in line behind Carruthers. And as we get ready to go past another truck, that is going to be Devin Ray in the one truck again, as he'll go another lap down. And I believe York, I was going to say, I think he might jump out there, try to pick up Devin and bring him into this draft, because that would even the odds. It'd be 3 KSR and Logan, 2 McCullough, 2 Hyper. So he's out there trying to grab him. We'll see if this works. He's trying to just pick up a draft as they go by Devin Ray and leave him 2 laps down.
Yeah, Devin Ray now a huge factor in this race for KSR. He is in the draft. His teammates let him in. And now KSR, they have Devin Ray in their back pocket. Logan York searching all over the racetrack. Nowhere to go for him. He has no teammates out here. I'm actually going to go on the radio to try to see if we can get Logan in here before the end of the race. We'd love to hear what he has to say. Great insight on this. You know, Logan, he just wants to race. He'll be getting pretty frustrated, but rightfully so. There's not going to be many guys that want to go with him here with all these teammates up here, but Devin Ray getting into that draft was a huge benefit to KSR as we get down here under 20 laps to go.
19 to go on the board here in Talladega, as everybody is single file still and probably will be for about the next 5, maybe 10 laps or so before anybody starts really going inside 10 laps to go. So we'll have to see what they decide to do. I imagine, again, with 19 now make it 18 laps to go. It'll be probably 7, 8 laps to go in a field this small and a pack this small here up front with 8 trucks that you would even think about going. You don't want to make the move too early, and if you're those KSR trucks running here at the tail end of this pack, you may even wait longer than that. I'm not sure how late these guys are going to wait, but we may be waiting a very considerable amount of time here for anybody to make a move.
I got 48 of Logan York up here in the booth with us. Logan is running the tail end of this lead pack. Logan York, what's going to be your play here? You're kind of the wild card. We got 2 Hyper Motorsports trucks. We got 2 McCullough trucks, and now we got 3 KSR trucks as Devin Ray, a lap down, slides in. What's going to be your thoughts here in the closing laps at Talladega?
Oh, yeah. Biggest thing for me is just trying to make sure this second pack doesn't catch up. So I was trying to go to the outside and get these guys to pick up the pace. They saw me pulling up a couple cars, so I think it got them to speed up a little bit. So now we're pulling away from them. They were catching up like a second a lap there. So, yeah, that's my only goal right now. I'm kind of screwed if they don't start racing.
Yeah, well, you're one of the best, man. You actually really are. You're one of the most aggressive drivers out there. But you did us proud in the Podium 500 this weekend. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, Podium 500. Crazy race. First of all, it's my first big race in the next gen. I never done a big next gen race before. It's just one of the biggest things about it is just how different it is from the other vehicles. Just being able to learn how to push there, and yeah, the biggest takeaway for me was just how far gone or how on another level all the money drivers are. All the money drivers knew how to push, and they were all a threat on the track. So yeah, that was definitely fun. It was awesome to take home a decent result, make it through all the qualifying races, make you guys proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Logan. We look forward to seeing you continue this race, and hopefully you can be the wild card and find your way around these guys.
Logan York, good to hear from the driver of the 48 running the tail end of this field. A little rare in-race interview there. Well, these guys running single file. It's very low stress in this point of the race. Not a lot of guys thinking about going anywhere. Again, you heard Logan say that second group had started to pick up time. I did mention it. And I think he may be doing the same thing here, telling these guys, okay, they're starting to catch up. Let's pick up the pace. You know, it's a signal up front here. Hey, let's push a little bit harder. Actually, I think I know why he's going to the outside. And that's because the truck getting lapped is his teammate with Misfortune Motorsports, Tucker McClendon. He's going to try to pick up a teammate here in turns 1 and 2. And if they can keep the draft, that changes the odds here for Logan York, just as Mark Fondell grabs the draft as well. So now let's recount here at the front of the field. Now, not all of them are on the lead lap, but let's just recount trucks. 2 Hyper, 3 McCullough, 3 KSR, and 2 Misfortune. And now we're getting a racy. Here we go, 15 to go. It's the Hyper truck of Heat Job jumping out in front of the advancing KSR team. KSR said it's time to go, and we are 2 wide again here on turn number 4. Hyper on the front row. KSR, do they split him? Yes, they do. Here comes the boss man, Kenny Stamper, up on the outside. Heat Job in the sucker hole. How far can they get? Ray's pushing hard. Stamper wants to lead. 14 laps to go.
This is awesome racing, man. It was just a little parading for a little bit, but I'll tell you what, man, this is going to heat up. We got 14 to go. And honestly, Tucker McClendon, Mark Vondell, they're a lap down, but guess what? They're fighting for position. In case a wreck happens, one of them will get the lucky dog. So anything could happen here, man. A lot of players now into this race with some of these lap trucks down, and we're going to have a great finish here now. Logan York's back in play. Wow, I am super excited here as we go down to 13 to go here at the line.
They went earlier than I thought. I said 8 or 9 laps to go that those KSR trucks would build a run. They saw them back up a little bit, start to get the run on the outside, and just paraded right around the leaders. Now the McCullough Motorsports trucks say, all right, you moved. Now it's our turn to counter move here. Here comes Ron Morris. They've got McClendon staying up with them. Carruthers says, I see that, and I raise you 1. He jumps to the outside. He wants to race with these guys up front. Oh, boy, a little bit of a bad spot there for the 10. He's got to bail out. They send him to the outside up by the safer barrier. Morris, a huge runoff, too. Logan York up in front of his teammate now. Carruthers trying to find a spot in line here with Logan York. Tight racing down the backstretch between Job York and Carruthers. Great stuff here. Can they maintain it for 13 laps? I don't know. These guys are all over the place, and Devin Ray says, I'm out. I'm going to the back. He's a lap down, and now they'll go back to the end of this lead draft. He does not like what he sees up here.
Man, it looked for a second. KSR was about to dominate this race. Dustin Carruthers went to the middle lane, was looking to hold that off, got a little loose, had to get out of line. His teammate Devin Ray a lap down. He's going to drop to the back of the pack here, pick Dustin. Well, doesn't even pick Dustin back up. Looks like he's off pace a little bit. So they're not so fortunate here for KSR now. Stamper is leading on the bottom, but it's all McCullough on the top. Kenny McCullough is pushing Ron Morris, but now here comes Logan York, the wild card. He's third in line on the top.
What a momentum builder this would be for Logan York. A momentum carrying race, I should say, after the momentum he built over the past couple weeks, and especially this past weekend. Kenny McCullough bails out now. He doesn't like what he sees either. It's back in behind Ron Morris. So now Stamper, all alone here at the front, he's going to drop out. And all of a sudden, all the guys that came forward are now saying, well, I don't want to be the sitting duck. And with Stamper with his teammate buried fourth in line, bad push there from Morris. Everybody keeps it going. With his teammate buried fourth in line, he just wanted to get out of there. Knew he was going to be a sitting duck with those 2 hyper trucks that now run 1-2. And with 11 laps to go, as soon as it started, it is over once again, and we are back to single file here. 9 trucks in the lead group. 7 of them are on the lead lap. As again, just as soon as we started racing, these guys calmed back down, and with 11 laps to go, we're back single file.
Yeah, some of these drivers here thinking maybe in their head, hey, you're going to play checkers, I'm going to play chess. They're dropping back a little bit, and I think that might be the money move to, not be that lead couple trucks here as we get to the closing laps. Smaller field, smaller contingent of trucks here up in front. And the KSR, you got Dustin Carruthers is back up there. Kenny Stamper behind him. I think right now they're in the catbird seat, just kind of following Heath Job and John Ward here. The McCullough boys, they're going to want to come up here to the middle lane eventually, Logan York. So like we talked about earlier, it looks like Hyper Motorsports is going to be sitting ducks up here in the front. They might want to think about dropping farther back.
Well, if they were going to do it, I figure they would have done it already. They're just going to stay up front. They're going to trust each other here. Now, it does not bode well for them if you look behind them how they've lined up. You've got the 2 hyper trucks running 1-2. Then you've got the 2 KSR trucks here on the lead lap running 3-4. And then the 2 McCullough trucks running 5-6. Not boding too well here for these drivers up front. Now, Devin Ray has recaptured the draft here, I believe, here at the end of the back straightaway. So he will be in play here potentially for the KSR trucks if he can find his way back forward. And we almost lost the lead draft again. Couple more teammates behind the McCullough teammates. It's actually worked out really, really interesting here to end this race. So it's Hyper 1-2, KSR 3-4, McCullough 5-6, Misfortune 7, but Tucker McClendon is in behind his teammate, technically running 8th in line. So teammates 1-2, 3-4, 5-6, and 7-8 here with 9 laps to go. I'm not sure how they worked it out this way, but somehow all the teammates have found each other with 9 to go, and I think Carruthers, it looked to me like he was starting to build a run. We'll see what he does here on the super stretch. There they go, KSR to the outside.
Devin Ray, he's in the draft and he's getting pushed by Mark Vondell. Mark Vondell trying to get that lucky dog in case a caution comes out. Devin Ray now hooked up with Kenny Stamper. Dustin Carruthers leading the top lane. It's KSR back on top, looking for some more. They're going to be neck and neck with Hyper Motorsports coming out of turn 4 here. It's all KSR. Will Dustin Carruthers clear and go down? He won't. They're going to stay mid as we come through the tri-oval.
I am not surprised at all that now they decide to go forward. They drop back, then they realize their teammate, Devin Ray, is going to be able to, number one, be a third truck, and number two, play pick as a lap truck here in the 1 to where he could very easily come up here and run up front with them. And I think I trust if my team's got 3 trucks here in the lead draft more than I do if I only had 2. That's, I think, why they drop back, and we're going to wait till a little bit later on in the race. Instead, now with 3, they're saying, well, I don't think we're going to be sitting ducks anymore because we're going to stay in line 3 here and just push it out all the way to the end. You know, they're not going to be selfish here with each other at the end of this race. Ray will go to the race lead, not necessarily here for a moment. He'll get one of his laps back as he bypasses the leader, his teammate Carruthers, and drops down in front of him. So KSR lined up 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. Now it's the McCullough boys up top, actually 3 in a row as well. Morris, McCullough, Vondell, 7 laps to go, and all of a sudden it's a trio of teammates on each line here as we head back to turn 1.
Yeah, very interesting here. Devin Ray's going to lead the bottom, but he is 1 lap down. And I'll tell you what, that's going to be scary here. He's trapping his couple teammates back a little bit here. Ron Morris, Kenny McCall getting a great run on top. They also have help there from their third teammate, Mark Vondell. He's fighting to stay on the lead lap. Logan York, his teammate behind him. And now, Ron Morris, he's going to clear bottom. That's going to open up Kenny McCullough to go to the front. It's Team McCullough on the front right now, top and bottom coming out of turn 4.
It's a game of chess here. Back and forth we go. It's a game of chicken. Who's going to stay up front? Who's going to drop back? Who's going to be in the right spot to make a move? Now I think it's the McCullough trucks that are sitting ducks here at the front of the field because now KSR is lined up 1, 2, 3 behind them. You got a couple trucks lined up behind the McCullough trucks on the outside as well. The Hyper trucks went from, I think, in the worst spot to potentially the best here at the tail end of this group. They can decide now what they do. They can dictate the moves they make. Look at John Ward. That's aggressive here in front of McClendon. Job trying to follow him up, but can't quite hit the gap between Ward and McClendon. He'll have to stay down. Now he might be able to find his way up. Nope, McClendon closes the gap, so the Hypertruck's now separated down the super stretch. Bottom line pulls a huge gap here to 3. Morris sees it, jumps up in front of Kenny McCullough. Veteran move by the driver of the 76, goes up to grab his teammate, but now it's going to allow Ray to get that lap back and Carruthers to surge forward again. The battle for the lead is behind the 1. It's between the 10, the 76, and the 03. Back into the tri-oval. It's very racy now. 5 laps to go as they pass the line. It's Ron Morris leading the field back down towards turn 1.
Yes, and a little bit farther back, I'll tell you what right now. Logan York, he is in the catbird seat once again. I know he's got teammates all around him, but John Ward working right behind Logan York. I'll tell you what, John and Logan race a lot together. They might not be on the same team. They trust each other. Look for John Ward to maybe make a move with Logan York late here. With Heath Joe being trapped on the bottom, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that 92 links with that 48 and they're able to get to the front here in the closing laps.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be the place to watch here as we get inside of 5 laps to go when that move is going to come. You know they're going to want to utilize the third lane. Some of the most aggressive third lane drivers running at the tail end of this group right now. Going to just be waiting on the right opportunity to beat 4 on 3 on 3 when they decide to do it. They can get a third truck to go with them. Now Ward bails, goes back to the bottom. Not sure if I like that move with 4 to go. Ray controlling lanes up front as the lap car allows his teammate Carruthers to go back to the lead. Big push by Kenny Stamper, surges the 10 back out front, and Ray can now play pick again in front of Ron Morris. Down the backstretch, Morris will nose back out to the lead, pushing hard on the back of Devin Ray. As Ray going to go back down in front of his teammates, not allow Ron Morris to clear down to the bottom. This time a lot more separation. Ron Morris will have a lot bigger of a run, and don't look now. A third Hyper truck may join the equation here as they're about to lap by Bobby Forbes in the 5. Ward and Joe may have some help on the way in the form of the 5 of Bobby Forbes.
I'll tell you what, man, this race is heating up more and more with all these lap down teammates getting back in the mix. Just as we were talking about Hyper going backwards, now they might be in the catbird seat. In mid-pack here, in the main pack, John Ward, Heath Jobs, he's kind of trapped on the bottom. Bobby Forbes, is he gonna stay in the draft? It's not looking like it. Devin Ray, he's gonna go and block Ron Morris. Ron Morris isn't gonna be happy with that. Ron Morris isn't a lap down. Devin Ray is. Ron's getting pushed by Kenny. This is gonna be a heck of a finish.
We'll recount it for you again, because it does look like Bobby Forbes has maintained the draft of his teammates Job and Ward here as they get ready to make their charge to the end. It's 3 Hyper trucks, counting the lap-down truck of Bobby Forbes, 3 KSR trucks, counting the lap-down truck of Devin Ray, 3 McCullough trucks, counting the lap-down truck of Mark Von Dell, and then the 2 Misfortune trucks as well. The outside very populated. It'll be 2 to go. Ray drops back down to the comfort of his teammates here to lead the McCullough boys 1, 2, 3. Logan York decides it's time to go. Here comes the 48. He's got a big head of steam up on the outside. Did he go too early? He might have, but he's going to have time to rethink it here, try to get some more help. He's waiting on his teammate McClendon to get to the back of John Ward, but he just can't quite get there, and unfortunately it's going to allow the 2 other lanes to have a big advantage. York, he's got a good pusher behind him, but I think they need 1 more truck to go with him. I just don't see anybody doing it. Carruthers-Morris drag race for the lead as York tries everything he can to get some more help up on the outside by the safer barrier.
Yeah, Heath Job, if Heath Job can get to the middle, then he can maybe get to that 3rd lane right behind John Ward. That'd be the move I would make if I were Heath Job. Help that teammate out. But like I said, it's going to be Logan York. He's digging. He's got John behind him. That was what I was thinking was going to happen. If Heath Job is mid now. If Heath Job can get up 1 more lane, I'll tell you what, Logan York's going to get a heck of a run here on the last lap. We're coming to the white.
White flag is in the air at the Talladega Superspeedway. Job is now in the 3rd lane. Look for that lane to roll here down the backstretch. Does John Ward have the temps to get Logan York all the way home? It's going to be the KSR boys that surge the best from this. Here comes the run on the outside on the super stretch.
Oh my God, Logan York, he's side by side now with Ron Morris, inching closer and closer to the front. It's KSR all on the bottom. Logan York's going to inch ahead of them. Is John Ward going to have enough temps? I'm not sure. We're between turns 3 and 4 here. Dawson, take it from here.
I don't know if anybody has temps at this point. Ward may have the best of anybody. Carruthers and Kenny have been pushing for a long time. All the way home they come. The 48 gets a run. Can he block all 3 lanes? Now he blocks the middle. Can he block the bottom as well? Here comes Ward on the outside. They're going to drag race all the way home. To the middle goes Morris. How about it? Logan York wins at Talladega.
Unbelievable. But we were talking about Logan York. He was the wild card. We talked to him while he was racing, and man, that kid drove his tail off. Excellent race, man. I am just honored to be up here with you because that was probably one of the most exciting finishes I have seen.
They drag raced all the way home. Morris and Ward. Morris made a heck of a move to get to the middle. I thought for sure that Ward was going to drop middle and side draft Logan York, who kind of ended up without a pusher in the tri-oval. Instead, Morris, a veteran, moved to squeeze to the middle, but just comes up about 300 short at the line. And the drive of a lifetime for Logan York to go from the back of the pack to the front in a lap and a half. And for the first time when I've been in the booth, Logan York is in victory lane. What a win for the driver of the 48, and rightfully so. He gets to burn it down and put a smoke show up for us here on the front stretch. You know he's going to celebrate this one. We're going to have a pretty happy Logan York talking to us here again in a few minutes when we get to talk to him. What a cool moment this is for Logan York. A long time coming for him to get to victory lane. And again, starts to burn it down here past the start-finish line.
Awesome run by Logan York there. Ron Morris finishing in 2nd. John Ward going to come up in 3rd, ever so close. Man, those were, I can't, I'm catching my breath because those last couple laps here, man, we saw practically everything happen there in the last 20 laps of this race with all the teammates coming back into the fold that were a lap down. That made this race so interesting, and man, that was exhilarating finish right there.
York is going to celebrate here. He comes to a stop in the grass as his celebration was long-winded, but deservedly so. We'll take a look back at the finish, show you exactly how close it was. As they came off turn 4 and all the way to the stripe, we'll actually get it all the way from the exit of turn number 4 just to show you what these moves were. I thought Logan moved down a little bit too early when they came off turn number 4. I thought for sure he was a little bit too early on this move, but Goes down in front of Ron Morris, who gives him enough of a shot when he went to block the bottom and take the shorter way around. You see Ron as he goes up to the middle. And here is the margin of victory at the line for Logan York. It's a quarter of a truck, about a half a truck length, as Morris made a heck of a move to get to the middle to even get second out of that. We'll take one more look at that move, and then we'll get your top three in here for some post-race interviews from what turned out to be an incredible night of racing. Watch Ron Morris. Look at this. Ward's up high with Job, and as they came down to the start-finish line, Morris made a great move actually to get on the nose of his teammate. As you see Carruthers wreck out back. I didn't even catch that part. Von Dell and McClendon involved as well, and Morris made a great move, but unfortunately not quite enough time, about another 100 feet. Probably would have won it for Ron Morris, but in the end, it's Logan York coming away with a victory by a half a truck length. And what a run it was. We'll give you that margin of victory one more time for Logan York. There it is. And what a race it was. We'll go through your finishing results first. Before we get to your top three, real quick, I'll run them through really quickly here from our feature event. Logan York, the winner here tonight from Talladega. Ron Morris and John Ward round out the top three. Kenny McCullough finishes fourth with Heath Job in fifth. Kenny Stamper in sixth. Dustin Carruthers in seventh. Justin Mills eighth. Danny Barnes ninth. And Mark Vondell 10th. It's Tucker McClendon coming home in 11th tonight. Bobby Forbes in 12th. Richard Elliott 13th. Devin Ray 14th. And David Sheets finishes shotgun on the field here tonight. We're going to go get your top three for some post-race interviews here. Stick around. We will be right back. Back live at Talladega with some post-race interviews. First up, the man who finished in the third position tonight. I thought he made the right move to win the race, but unfortunately he comes up just a little bit short. It's series owner John Ward, and a rare appearance here on a Monday night. And Michael Triscaro, my broadcast partner, stands by with the third-place finisher.
John Ward, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you, Michael.
All right, man. Well, excellent third place finish at podium here for you tonight. I called it, actually. I said, watch the 92 link up with that 48 of Logan York. Heath Job was kind of pinched down there on the bottom. I was yelling, Heath, just get to the middle, and get to the top. And you guys got a big run. What was the deciding factor there on the last lap?
Yeah, you hit it about right. Heath was the deciding factor. I tried to go with Logan. The plan was to go with Logan. I couldn't really get with Heath. He was trying to do his own thing, but we tried on the top with Tucker. He was a little damaged, but we couldn't get the run we needed. And finally, when Heath decided to come up with us, I was like, yeah, we're going to get a good run. And we finally hooked up, and I was running so hot there, Michael. I was like, I think about 298, 300. I told Logan, if you get clear, please drop down because I'm going to blow. But, yeah, we got the run there, and Logan got the win there from the high side. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Dawson was calling that. He was saying John Ward's probably going to be getting hot up there. But, we talk about Logan York all the time. Great driver. Obviously, we all know he's just got to kind of rein in it a little bit. Tell us about your trust in him just to kind of push him up there like you did. Pushing him up there maybe to the win, but also, solidifying yourself in the podium there.
Yeah. I've been working with Logan a lot through the podium and running with him. He's a really good driver. He's real young, but he's really good, and he could hold a good wheel, and he's getting better every time we go around. And yeah, I wouldn't mind pushing him, and we can get the job done. But yeah, it was a pretty good race and all, and looking forward to doing some more running.
Yeah, John. So real quick, Sunday, you made that podium 500 feature. We saw that 92 next gen car, working your way through the field. You had some bad luck on pit road, but you made us proud here in the money racing scene. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the podium, and you're looking forward to next year on that?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward for next year. my first year was last year. I actually made it. I think I finished 16th. But yeah, this year I had a lot of confidence. I did make the show and was running decent. Didn't have a bad run there, and just I had a glitch on pit road. It wouldn't let me come out of pit road. It was unfortunate that happened, but it's just a racing deal, I reckon. And I'm gonna try it next year and see if we can get it done then.
Awesome. Well, before we let you go, John, is there anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my team, Dawson, and you guys for broadcasting. You guys always do an excellent job, and it makes the racing so much better. It makes everybody race good when it's broadcasted and everything. So thank you guys, and thank my team, Hyper Motorsports, and just all the drivers out here that put in to race with us.
Awesome, John. Well, have a good night, man. Always great to watch you race here in Dega Pros. Great series owner, John Ward. One of the best here in money racing. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
John Ward finishes third tonight. A good run for him and a rare appearance on a Monday. And no Ron Morris tonight. He's got some other scheduling things going on. So we'll get right into the winner, the man of the hour, the man that I've been waiting a little bit to talk to here on a podium interview, and that is Logan York in the 0-2. And we'll get him in here now. Hey, Logan, it's the boys in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. You can hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. Well, man, look, I'll be 100% honest. I've been waiting a little bit for this. You go to Victory Lane tonight. It's got to be a long time coming for you. Take us through that last lap sequence. You surged to the lead. Just take us through what you were seeing there coming to the checker.
Yeah, it all started with it all started really when we got Tucker in that draft. I knew once we got him, my chances of winning like drastically increased from 0 to like 10%. I had anything more than 0. But I didn't know we had damage. But then I saw Hyper got shuffled back there, and then me and John usually work pretty well together. So he went up with me, and we timed our move pretty well there at the beginning. I think we timed our move in the hopes that Tucker would be able to push us, but we didn't know he had damage. And then once Heath went up and helped out that top, it really was the deciding factor there. Yeah, it was just a huge run on that backstretch. I'm hearing that John was super hot there. I mean, he must have been pushing me that long, but yeah, it was awesome. Once I got clear, I thought I screwed myself by going so low because Ron, I just let him have the middle. But yeah, it's just awesome to win one of these races with like 20 or less cars are always just amazing to race in and amazing to watch.
Well, it certainly was a fun one to watch. I got to imagine it was a fun one to win for you as well. And moving on with that, I mean, this has got to be a long time coming. It's a moment that I'm sure you've been waiting on here for a while to get into Victory Lane in one of these. What does this do for you going forward, your confidence level after the weekend you had and now coming into this, getting a victory here on a Monday night?
Yeah, podium was definitely helped with confidence. Being able to show that us money drivers are really top notch in relation to like the rest of the people that do super speedways, because we do it just so often. So just to know that I'm able to win races against those same guys in these kind of races more often it's awesome for sure. Yeah.
Well, a Victory Lane for you tonight. You get the job done here in the Little Guys Series off-week race. So before we let you go celebrate, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammate Tucker McClendon, who's part of this race. Unfortunately, he got shuffled out pit stops. I want to thank John Ward and Heath Job, who were able to help with that top lane momentum. I want to thank everyone that watches these races on YouTube, Ghost Racing Network, Hickory Racing Network. All you guys do an amazing job. Wouldn't be the same without y'all. And then thank you, John Ward, for putting this race on.
All right, well, congratulations on a fantastic run to the end there tonight. A victory for you here at Talladega. Go enjoy it, go celebrate, and we will see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Logan York, the driver of the 0-2, gets the job done tonight at Talladega, and what a race it was. Mike, from start to finish, that one was as good as advertised. Even despite a small field, these guys put on a heck of a show here in the off week.
Yeah, man, it was an excellent race. We thought for a little bit there after some of those green flag stops, it got a little spread out. Didn't kind of play it in my mind that, some of these lap down cars were going to get back in the mix with their teammates. But sure enough, under 20 to go, we started mixing in a lot of teammates that were lapped down. And, when that started happening, man, it was a lot of slicing and dicing up there in the pack. Just excellent racing. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat. I don't know about you, but it was awesome to call. Just a great effort by all the drivers from McCullough, Hyper Motorsports, Logan York, Tucker McClendon got back in the ball game there. Logan able to take it home. The KSR boys, man, just great racing. Love to see these series happen. It's always cool to see a 45 car field on Thursday nights, but sometimes the racing is almost like more grassroots in these little series. And it was just a sight to see for myself, and great hard racing, man. I just love that. So, yep.
Well, it definitely was a fun one to watch, and a huge congratulations again to Logan York with a great move on the last lap and goes all the way to victory lane in the 48. Great statement made for him over the past several days. Tomorrow night on Ghost Racing Network, it's the PGR Esports Better Half Dash. Myself and maybe Austin Green. I know he was talking about getting up there with me. We'll have to see how the scheduling works out, but I know I'll be there to have you on the call all the way through that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. Please tune into that tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. We all can have some fun and enjoy it. I know the plan, at least tomorrow, is to get some of the normal drivers that are replaced by their better halves tomorrow up in the booth to help me call that race throughout the night. Hopefully get some fun content going on there as we all just kind of have a chance to relax, have some fun, and enjoy what should be a really fun, just enjoyable night of racing. So join me tomorrow on Ghost Racing Network. We'll have that one for you about 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Thursday night, the normal PGR Esports race. I'm telling you, if several of the guys run that I think are going to be end up running that race, it's going to be a great field. It's going to be a new field for what we do on Thursday nights. A lot of guys who may be new to our side of things taking their first crack at it on Thursday night. I can't wait. It's going to be a great one. Go over and join Austin and Baker at least on the Ghost Racing Network on Thursday night around 10:30 or so, and we'll get that one going. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot understate how fun that race is going to be if we have several of the guys run that you may or may not have seen yesterday afternoon in the Podium 500. Other than that, we're back next week for the championship race of the Little Guys Series. We're going to crown our third champion in this series next week, and it will be a new champion, as the previous two are not eligible to run that series. We're going to crown a brand new champion. Several guys have been waiting for the opportunity. Who will get it done? Join me next week, a little after 11 o'clock on the East Coast, like normal, as we crown a champion in the Little Guys Series. It's going to do it for us here on the Hickory Racing Network. For my partner tonight, Michael Triscaro, my name is Dawson Wise. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow night for the Better Half.